What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Over the last couple of days, we talked about how Activision and Paramount were in talks to gain access to the rights to create a Call of Duty movie. Well, it looks like those talks fully went through and they came to an agreement, and now a Call of Duty movie is now officially in the works. So we have all the details and everything that you need to know about that. If you do find the video informative at any point, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. So the first thing is Paramount and Activision's deal is signed for a one live action movie, but it also gives Paramount the rights to also expand Call of Duty to different TV shows and other films. So depending on the success and what they see from this first live action movie that they create, they can expand and dive deeper into the world of Call of Duty. Now, this is what Paramount said about this. Under this milestone partnership, Paramount will develop, produce, and distribute a live-action feature film based on Call of Duty, designed to thrill its massive global fan base by delivering on the hallmarks of what fans love about the iconic series. While boldly expanding the franchise to entirely new audiences, both companies are committed to honoring the brand's rich narrative and distinctive style, promising an authentic and exciting experience for longtime fans and newcomers alike. Now, they use a lot of buzzwords here, but the most important thing is, from my understanding, it looks like they're gonna actually base it off Call of Duty in terms of the story, and they're not gonna try to come up with like a Call of Duty original storyline or something like that, which would definitely, in my opinion, be going the wrong direction, and I'm pretty sure many of you guys would agree with that. Now, the next thing that they went ahead and said, we are approaching this film with the same disciplined, uncompromising commitment to excellence that guided our work on Top Gun Maverick. So they're not even talking about Halo, because we know how their reenactment and the season of Halo turned out, but they said they're going to take it to a different approach and follow Top Gun Maverick, which was a blockbuster hit. And then they said ensuring it meets the exceptionally high standards this franchise and its fans deserve. The Paramount CEO follows up saying, I can promise that we are resolute in our mission to deliver a cinematic experience that honors the legacy of this one-in-a-million brand, thrilling longtime fans of Call of Duty while captivating a whole new generation. And with these words, they're giving the fan base quite a bit of hope. We have really high standards for a Call of Duty movie. It's something that's never been done before. In the past, it was something that they attempted to do, but it always fell short. So this time around, considering they now have the rights and they are going to start working on it, this is something that we may end up seeing in theaters, and hopefully it's actually good. Now, alongside this, people were very skeptical because we saw what they did with Halo. They had a couple of comments and things to say about that. Now, this also puts heavy pressure on Paramount because they weren't the only ones competing to get the rights of Call of Duty. They actually were the ones who ended up getting it, but someone else wanted them as well. Now, Charlie Intel posted this. He said Steven Spielberg wanted to direct a Call of Duty movie and even pitched his vision and idea to Activision. Activision was spooked for the reason that Spielberg wanted full control of the movie and its direction, and instead they went ahead and made the deal with Paramount. Now, and here's the reason why. It says, according to 3 of Baloney's sources, the Saving Private Ryan director teamed up with Universal to pitch the COD movie to Activision. However, Spielberg's deal included top of market economics, final cut, and full control over the production and marketing. Activision reportedly got spooked by this and instead went with Paramount CEO and chairman David Ellison's pitch. In the official announcement, Ellison said, as a lifelong fan of Call of Duty, this is a dream come true. So now we know that Paramount has the rights to it, but the question is, who's going to be the director? We still don't have that information as of right now. Now, the thing about this, they follow up and say that we don't know who's making Paramount's COD movie yet, but Extraction director Sam Haygraves said there's potential in a Warzone movie. And this is speaking to Deserto in 2023. He said anytime an IP exists that there's a huge fan base for and has a cinematic quality like a Warzone type thing, I think there's always potential there. Now, before we talk about that, one other thing is, according to Hunter, he says that COD World War II's campaign is inspired by a Steven Spielberg movie. So the fact that they actually said no to him is a little crazy. And imagine if he was the one who directed a Call of Duty movie. I feel like this definitely would be better than what Paramount is planning on giving us. There's still hope that maybe Paramount could reach out to him and then hire him as the director and then follow his guide through this, and maybe it could be a successful movie. Now, the major question that I know many of you guys have is, what is this movie going to be based on? There is so much story, there's so much material that they can use for a Call of Duty movie that we could probably get a movie every single year for like the next 20 years. At the moment, I don't think it's gotten that deep yet, so they still haven't begun casting anyone. They haven't really gotten scripts or anything like that done, meaning it's a little early before we figure that information out, but there's quite a bit of things they can do. First off, they can just start off with Modern Warfare. That's a series that they can follow through, create this story based on that, maybe have the Task Force 141 members as a part of the crew, maybe even bring in some of the actors that we had over the last few Modern Warfares to recast them and play their own characters. That would make the most sense, right? And then follow through with that. Later on, maybe they could jump into like a TV series or something to feature the Black Ops storyline, or maybe start a different movie series for that. And then there's also the zombie storyline, and that gets deep. It's probably one of the most well-written things that I've seen in a while. Zombies has just been going on for years and years, and it gets more and more complex, and I feel like a movie explaining everything would be something that people would love to see. And then there's also the Warzone story and side of things that they talked about in the actual, like, the blog that they posted over on Deserto. So what are your thoughts and opinions? What do you want to see Call of Duty do first? But once we get more information, they're probably going to start giving us information on who they're casting, what's going on with that, and we may get consistent updates on that. And right now, it's still very, very early, so this is something that we probably won't be seeing for a couple of years. Maybe next year we'll get more information, or our first trailer or our first teaser. I know that Activision will probably sort of try to keep us updated, and Paramount will as well, because it's something that everyone has really high expectations for, and they want to sort of keep the hype up and all that information pouring. So I'll definitely let you guys know what goes on with that. But at the moment, there's only been rumors. For example, Discussing Film posted this the other day, and they said Will Smith has signed a first look movie deal with Paramount to star in a major theatrical movie based on IP owned by Paramount. His production company will also develop original major films for the studio. And the majority of the replies are, is he going to be a Call of Duty character? Who's he going to be playing? Does this have to do with Call of Duty? And some people were saying, oh, maybe he's coming in as like Captain Price or something like that. But from what I'm reading here, it looks like this is an IP owned by Paramount, so not something they have the rights to, meaning that it's not Call of Duty, and this is something completely separate and different, and it just so happened to be announced around the same time that the Call of Duty and Paramount talks were. So that's probably just a coincidence, but I feel like we'll definitely get more information once we get closer and once things are more finalized. Right now, they just barely finished the talking and the agreement stuff, and then once they get into working on it, we'll have updated information. But that is all that I have for you guys here in today's video. What are your thoughts? Is a Call of Duty movie something you would go to the theaters and watch, or is it something that you're not really too interested in? But anyways, it's been your boy Chito. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys back on the channel again. Peace.